This is Russ Kenzier, and you're watching Safety News. I'm joined, as usual, by my co-host, Tony B.
Good evening, Russ.
How are you doing today?
Good to be back.
Good to see you. Any news this week?
No, but I brought you something. I brought you a present this evening, didn't I?
Yeah, why don't you tell everybody what you brought me?
I brought you some capicola and some hot salami that I made.
I'm eager to get into it.
Good.
And I'm just amazed how you sliced it so thin.
Yeah, and my Burkle, brand new Burkle, was Christmas present.
Why don't you explain what a Burkle is?
Oh, man, it's the best slicer there is.
Meat slicer?
It's a meat slicer.
Burkle.
Yeah, very nice.
Does the meat taste better because it was sliced with a Burkle?
No, but it's just, you can get it you can like shave it real thin.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going to try some of that capicola from the Burkle, but we had a busy week of safety, and so
yes. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So, item number one. I don't know if you saw this, but National Law Review this past week said that OSHA is announcing significant expansion of its instance-by-instance citation policy. As a construction expert, what does that mean to you when you hear OSHA is now going to be issuing citations on an instance-by-instance basis? What does that mean to you?
I mean, they're going to be on your back.
More so?
More so.
Than they were before.
They're going to report.
Have you ever had an OSHA inspector?
No, sir.
On site?
No.
What would you do if you did?
Run for the hills. No, you just got to you better make sure everything's right.
That's why they're there.
That's right.
But, OSHA tends to want to show up when...
after.
Yeah. The event's already happened.
Right.
It's... the person's been injured. The fatality's already happened.
Right.
Everything's over.
Right.
It's kind of like the guy who's standing on the ledge of a building ready to jump off, and they show up just with the equipment, but it's too late.
Yeah, he's already hit the ground.
And so OSHA tends to be a bit more reactive. One could, I guess, say that they're kind of like the boogeyman. They show up and everybody gets scared, but their purpose really isn't to scare you. Their purpose is to save lives. In fact, it said here in their press release that the Occupational Safety and Health Administration issued a press release, again, concerning the instance-by-instance citation effective in 60 days and will radically alter the landscape of certain inspections. The stated purpose of the policy is to, quote, make OSHA's penalties more effective in stopping employers from repeatedly exposing workers to life-threatening hazards or failing to comply with certain workplace safety and health requirements. So, financial penalties, do they really work? Does an OSHA fine, I guess if you're a small company, that could have a lot bigger significance.
Right.
But if you're a big company, a big construction company, and you get hit with a couple $100,000 fine, you don't want that by no means. But the financial cost, I'm not convinced financial penalties in and of themselves work. They simply don't they just pass that cost along?
Yeah.
I mean, who's paying that fine? You have a general contractor, subcontractors, you have the owner, the architect. There's a lot of players, a lot of moving parts on a construction site. And obviously, because of all those moving parts, you have a lot of people who are, potentially exposed to harm. I mean, they're, big workplace, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of different trades there. So, but again, I'm not certain that fining them is going to necessarily work.
Yeah. We talked about this in the past. They need to be more proactive, not reactive, especially on the front. I mean, it's education. It's getting in there. Why aren't they there helping corporations, making sure that that safety does matter?
Yeah, and there's all different workplaces. You have job sites, construction sites, where you have lesser trained day laborers. Who are on site doing manual labor. You then have internal manufacturing facilities, factories.
More meat packing plants.
Yeah, trained workers. You have such a wide range of businesses that have different types of employees at different skill levels that are exposed to a wide range of hazards. Some of them are better trained than others. I mean, you're in your business, you you have to train your people, right? People come to work and they need to know.
Right.
We're having a safety meeting.
Right.
Safety meeting at 1 o'clock.
Right.
And scheduling that. But, OSHA really is trying to curb injuries. What do you think the number one cause of fatal death is in the workplace? Number one. What do you think it is?
Falls.
Gosh. Trained you well. Yeah, falls from elevation. Falls from elevation. Like last week's episode where we talked about 25 feet. That's that's amazing that he survived the 25-foot fall. But you see that quite a bit. In fact, I had a case where working on it right now where a gentleman fell through the ceiling on a workplace that was open and died, killed himself.
Yeah.
He died by hitting, obviously, the floor. And the employer is cited, and it's a lawsuit. And I'm directly engaged in that matter right now. But, a young guy in his 30s, gone, left a wife and a couple of kids.
Yeah.
And, things a lot of people don't get is, all right, so your descendants, your, family gets some money for your death. It doesn't make it all better. It's not like, now that your wife and kids have, X amount of dollars in the bank account that, life is good, that they're whole. There's always a hole in their life, and that's you. You're gone. You're missing. Yeah. And so a lot of people think, well, you got a big settlement and, and it's fine. You got to reverse the math here, Tony, and say, well, what was your income? What was your income potential? I mean, if you're in your 30s, you got 40 years of work. What would be your anticipated income for 40 years? And, when you kind of extrapolate the numbers, they become very big very quickly.
Sure.
But a lot of people don't really give a lot of weight to that. They think, well, you made a couple $1 million. Your wife should be happy. She's just going to go out and marry somebody else and have a good life. It rarely works that way, and kids always pay the price not having that father at home. And
the grandkids, everything.
Yeah, so you want OSHA to do a better job. You want the, the system to work better. I'm not certain if fining in and of itself works. It's definitely a deterrent, but if you're a big company, a fine is, look, it's just a speed bump.
Yeah.
Sadly, that's kind of the reality. And so there has to be a better way. I've always been a big proponent of criminal charges. I think if you are that delinquent where there is such a rampant disregard for safety, repeated citations, repeated complaints, maybe even multiple serious injuries or deaths, I think the leadership of that construction company, should be charged with criminal behavior. I mean, you're exposing people to death. I mean, it's potential death. And in the case where somebody actually does die, just writing a check doesn't
help.
It just doesn't help. So I'm not certain if this is going to work or not, but nonetheless, OSHA is, again, revising the instance-by-instance policy to inflict additional financial pain and or deterrence on various industries. I don't know which industry they're targeting, because usually OSHA, when they do things like this, is deliberate with a particular industry. They're going after the construction trades. They're going after manufacturing. They're going after food service. They have somebody kind of in the
and their target.
Yeah, somebody's in the spotlight.
Sure.
I'm not certain who the target is on this, but that was
the crosshairs.
Yeah, the crosshairs. Thank you. And everybody loves when the OSHA inspector comes. So anyhow, that was the first subject for the week. We also had another interesting topic, which is along the same lines. It's an OSHA issue. This came from Sun News, where a Kansas worker was killed inside a bagging machine. Are you familiar with bagging machines at all?
No, sir.
What a bagging machine is?
No. I'm sure like bagging concrete or wheat or...
We don't know. Well, we do know it was a polymer company, and they were bagging polymers, which is plastic. Right. And we don't really know exactly what the machine is, but sadly, this gentleman apparently got caught into the machine, and it killed him. So, Kingman, Kansas, Kingman Plastics manufacturer failed to make sure that the required safety procedures were followed, and which contributed to the death of the worker, who suffered fatal injuries when he became entangled in a rotating part inside a bagging machine while trying to clear a jam. And so he was doing his job and
Wasn't trained properly.
wasn't trained properly, maybe not paying attention. Maybe they worked to sped up the schedule. We need more production.
Sure.
We need more, faster, work faster.
Right.
Kind of like the Lucille Ball. Remember the
Right. It gets faster and faster. And
candy?
And she's eating them just to keep
Just to keep it going?
Yeah.
Don't know. Again, we're speculating. But OSHA investigators responded to the August 4th, 2022. This goes back a while. Fatality at Great Lakes Polymer Technologies, LLC, and found that you can't make this up.
Oh, my goodness.
They put duct tape over the safety interlock, which prevented the machine from shutting down.
Oh, my goodness.
And the victim was caught in the machine and pulled into its rotating bar. So you're preventing the safety mechanism from
working,
from protecting,
doing what it's supposed to do.
doing what it's supposed to do.
Sure.
What was the reason for that?
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think the reason was?
Because it slowed down production.
Isn't that always what it is?
It always is.
It got in the way.
That's right.
It's kind of like the guard.
Right.
The guard is in my way. If I can just get rid of that guard, I can work faster.
Sure.
Where you put your hands, the guard that protects your fingertips.
Sure. Or a cost, whatever it is. It's always something that's to the bottom dollar.
Isn't it always about money?
It is.
It's always about money. Here's what they...
oh, my goodness.
this is not the exact machine. This is just an example of a polymer machine. Look at all the rollers. A lot of stuff going on here. Pretty good size machine. Obviously, it's got to have a lot of power to pull that plastic through there. But OSHA came in. This is kind of interesting, and didn't have machine guarding. Didn't have the lockout, tag out procedures. That's where you have the power box.
Right.
The fuse panel that you would lock out power from going to a particular area or machine.
There's the training.
No training. This one's fascinating. Exposing workers to slip and fall hazards from plastic particles and hydraulic fluid leaking on the floors. Sure. $292,421 fine penalty was cited to the company that produces plastic fibers for cement and other construction products. OSHA investigators found that the employer failed to ensure lockout tagout procedures were in place when unjamming machinery. The company also failed to train workers on lockout tagout procedures. So,
yeah,
I'm sure it wasn't the first time.
No,
that duct tape was there for a while.
Yeah,
and where was the supervisor?
Yeah,
where was the safety?
No,
where's the safety guy?
No. Again, companies, smaller companies, it's expensive. You have to have a safety expert or a safety person on staff.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they did.
For $291,000, you can have 4 or 5 of them.
Well, for $291,000, I'm sure I would just put aside the reputation. I mean, imagine the bad press this gets in town.
Sure, absolutely.
The family's impacted. Horrible injury. I'm sure when they interview coworkers, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, Joe, the manager, told us to do that," or that switch broke a long time ago, and they never fixed it. Yeah. So we just put duct tape over it. It's always that kind of a thing where there's an excuse that we didn't make the necessary repairs, and so we just took a shortcut and we put duct tape on it.
Sure.
And another man lost his life.
I know.
Just as an interesting story in the fact that it was an OSHA-related issue, and I guess on an instance-by-instance basis, this might change things, but I doubt it. I hate to be the pessimist.
Yeah.
I hate to be the pessimist again, Tony, but I'm just not believing that a lot of companies take safety seriously.
No.
I think that a lot of them look for shortcuts. They look for efficiencies. And at the end of the day, workers just do what they think is the right thing, and nobody stops them.
Right.
Kind of the American way, isn't it? So,
sad to hear.
Yeah, disappointing. Anyhow, I've got another interesting story for you today. Item number 3. This came out just the other day. Centers for Disease Control, CDC, says that an eye drop brand may be connected to drug-resistant bacterial infections. Have you heard this case?
No.
Have you heard about this?
No.
You use eye drops?
No, I do not.
I never really liked eye drops just because I don't like
I can't
touching my eye.
I can't wait for the splash to hit my eye.
When you get like when you get like an eyelash in your eye.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is beyond irritating.
Sure.
And that's an eyelash. And so just, people that get like eye surgery and I don't know.
It's like a needle in your eye.
I don't know how they do it. Just touching your eye. Just don't touch my eye. But a lot of people use eye drops. And so a major brand of over-the-counter eye drops may be linked to a bacterial infection that left one person dead and 3 others with permanent
my goodness
vision loss, said the CDC. They further found 50 additional people in 11 states. And I don't even know how to pronounce this name. Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Is that an Italian name? Tony, can you read that for me?
No, I cannot.
You do speak Italian, don't you?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that sounds like...
What's the matter, you?
Yeah, well, that's not...
Hey, you. Hey, you guys.
So far, they have cases in California, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Nevada, the great state of Texas, Utah, and Washington. And so they're investigating. A lot of people getting infections from eye drops. And the company is called Ezra Care, Artificial Tears. That's what they've been using. You familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
Ezra Care?
No.
Artificial tears?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. But the company that manufactures this actually had an interesting response. You're going to... Right there. Ow, ow, ow. Gosh, I just can't. I always think I'm going to stick that thing in my eye. That little dropper, as close as it is really not that close, You're putting a dropper there, and I'm always afraid that thing's just going to go right in.
But it says it's part of the solution. It's not like it's not like on the bottle or anything else. So.
Oh, do we know that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we know that yet. Well, here's what we do know. We got eye drops that are causing people respiratory infections, urinary tract infections. Person died. Apparently, it gets in your bloodstream and it can travel. It's commonly found in water, soil. Really, just a nasty bacteria. The eye drops in question again are labeled as preservative-free, meaning the product does not contain anything that could prevent microbiological growth. It's possible that the drops were contaminated during the manufacturing process or when a person with the bacteria touched it. So what we know is, we don't know a lot. We know that people that are using this particular brand of eye drops are getting serious infections, not only in the eye, but other parts of their body. Several people died. Where's it coming from? Not real certain, but who would think that, who would think that eye drops?
Yeah.
Something is, mundane as what's in an eye drop? Isn't it just kind of like water?
Saline.
Saline?
Yeah.
Right. So what could possibly be in an eye drop that would hurt you? And the answer is, bacteria. And so they're not certain where it came from. It came from somewhere. And a lot of people are getting hurt. So that made the news this past week, and hasn't been a lot of discussion. Did you even know about this?
No. But I won't tell you about my brother and his TDK cassette bottle. Just looked like a Visine bottle.
No, you're going to have...
Do you remember the old tape cleaners, right? You had to clean the heads of the tape.
Oh, yeah.
And they came in the same small little bottles.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. What happened? He put that in his eyes? He put the tape cleaner in his eyes. And
he got all upset. He said, Who changed it? And I said, what do you mean who changed it? This is TDK head cleaner.
So he put TDK head cleaner.
It looked like, because he just came back. He was working on his master's. He home from college. He just tired,
Is that like alcohol?
Yeah, it is.
It's not water.
It's like pure alcohol.
Or like an acid?
Like an acetone, yes.
Acetone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
We had to flush his eye out, rinse him out.
So he didn't know that it was... Obviously, he didn't know.
His eyes must have been blurry to begin with, tired. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at the same size bottle and the same clear, and they were in similarities.
Night out drinking? How do you beat the red eye? Wow.
But it doesn't answer what we know about the solution.
And that's a good example is how often do people mix up medications, take too much, take the wrong one.
I thought I was taking some aspirin.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, I thought I was right. I thought I was taking my medication, not my husband's.
Yeah.
And
I took 4 capsules of some laxatives.
Yeah, and a lot of people do that. I mean, a lot of people do inadvertently take the wrong stuff.
That's
and you know what? That's interesting because you would think that TDK would not want to manufacture it in a package.
Put it in a red bottle or something, or a green bottle.
Yeah, or do something
These things
that would
look. I mean, seriously, from the back of it, it looked exactly like a Visine. Like your typical.
That could have been really bad. Well, how bad was it?
He had red eyes he had a red eye for quite a few days there.
So he only got in one eye, huh? Wow.
It's the old TDK joke around the family.
Yeah. I bet you that goes over real well. Anyhow, item number 4. Interesting story. Family of woman decapitated in Utah National Park by swinging gate gets $10 million in damages. Have you heard about this?
No.
You haven't heard about this?
No, sir. Yeah. You're just bringing all these ones on
well, that's
today.
what we do here. Yes. We cover stories that the mainstream media generally doesn't.
Dive in there real deep.
Yeah, well, she lost her head.
And this is on Fox News.
Yes. Ugandan woman Esther Nakajigo was killed in Arches National Park in 2020 when an untethered gate slammed into her car, decapitating her with her husband beside her. So imagine the trauma from that. You're in a national park, in the car, and the gate just swung.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know exactly what this gate looks like, but the federal judge gave the family $10 million. Because of her death, attorneys representing her family celebrated the decision, saying it was the largest federal wrongful death verdict in state history. The quote, by his verdict, Judge Bruce Jenkins has shown the world how the American justice system works to hold its own government accountable and greatly value all lives, including that of Esther Nakajigo, a remarkable young woman from Uganda. 25-year-old Ugandan human rights activist and her husband, Ludovic Mikold, were on vacation just months. Just months, Tony, after their wedding.
Wow.
And so you say civil justice. We're showing the world how justice works. And it's interesting because a lot of people generally think the opposite. They'll say things like, well, these frivolous lawsuits, right?
Yeah.
All these, lawyers making all this money off of these, lawsuits. It's an act of nature. I mean, the wind blew the gate. Wasn't the government's fault.
Yeah, this sounds more political than anything else.
Well, do we really know? Mm-hmm. Here's what we do know. That somewhere in Arches National Park, and I've been there was a gate that came loose, and it swung so violently that it killed this woman. I mean, it actually killed a woman, decapitated her. That's a lot of force. The story went on to say, on the edges of Arches National Park, a metal gate that was normally secured with a lock was untethered. Recreation areas have recently opened following COVID-19 pandemic-related closures as Nakajigo and her husband were leaving the park. Gusting wind flung the gate. Very rapidly, the force was enough to slice through the passenger side door, decapitating her as her husband sat in the driver's seat. So that must have been a big gate. Haven't seen the gate, but it took somebody's life. Would you consider that to be a freak accident?
I would.
What would you call that?
I would.
And if you're you're the jury, what would you, just looking at the facts as little as we know, the wind blew the gate.
Yeah.
Is that the park's fault? I mean, whose fault is it? Right? I mean, she filed a lawsuit. Obviously, she lost her life right after she was married, but whose fault was it?
It's a tough one, Russ.
Yeah. They're never easy, are they?
No, they're not.
Really a sad case. Very, very sad case. But it's one that you don't really hear on the mainstream media.
Yeah.
And now it's easy to say the government paid for this, but we know who really paid for it.
Us.
Taxpayers. So you say maybe there was somebody who was supposed to make sure the gate was locked or tethered that didn't do their job. Wonder if there's any accountability there.
Sure.
Woman lost her life. Was Ranger Bob to blame? Or Ranger Betty or whoever?
Right.
But somebody dropped the ball, right?
Sure.
Somebody dropped the ball, didn't do their job or do what was the appropriate procedure.
Sure.
And because the gate was not secured, I got to imagine that you have lots of gusts of wind in the park, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's windy.
Sure.
It's not the first time the wind blew.
Sure.
The other thing you may want to look at is the design.
Yeah.
How was this gate actually designed?
But more than anything else, were there other incidents?
Good question.
Because that would be the intent, because they knew about it and didn't fix it. But in a case where it's just an accident, it's tough.
Yeah, I like that. It's just an accident.
Yeah.
Well, was it just an accident? Could this have been prevented? Was there a failure?
Yeah.
Was the gate maybe improperly designed? I mean, to have that much force to go through the car.
Yeah.
I mean, went through the door. That's got to be a very, very heavy, very strong, gate.
Yeah. I haven't been through too many national parks. Are they, well, I have maybe in the Northeast, more national sea, areas that they're very well guarded and they're very well, they have the, but there's never like any like gates, it's more like I don't know. I just, you'd have to look at it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
From ground up.
Got another case I want to run by you. This just happened February 1st. Indiana man falls to death.
Oh, boy.
Off of coastal cliff in Puerto Rico while filming TikTok video. Have you heard about this one?
No.
Not this one, huh?
No.
Why is it that you don't hear about this, Tony? I mean, I don't think anybody's really hearing about this, right?
Well, you go in the deep dive.
We're doing a deep dive. So
he was 27, very young man.
Yeah. Garay, 27, reportedly filming a TikTok video when he fell 70 feet.
I mean,
70 feet.
I can't tell you how many people I see on Instagram that they do like 150 selfies a day. And they're doing over look, there's the ocean.
Yeah, the red flag here is he was recording a TikTok video. Yeah. And we all know that the Chinese own TikTok, so I would chalk this up as a murder by China.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Got to blame somebody, right?
Sure.
Why not blame them?
Amen.
They're always the culprit anyhow. Anyhow, the Coast Guard said Edgar Garay, 27, was on a recreational trip and was last seen alive at 5:37 p.m. on the edge of a cliff near a lighthouse.
In his last post.
Yeah. Rescue began searching for him around 6:50.
Oh, boy.
Sunday after watchstanders in Sector San Juan received a call from a 911 operator who initially reported the incident. A woman at the scene also told watchstanders she saw Mr. Garay stumble toward the edge of the cliff. And this is what the young man looked like. This young man who lost his life. Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah. By the way, here's the cliff.
Oh, my goodness. I don't think he hit the water.
Imagine not paying attention. Imagine not paying attention. And, your TikTok video just preoccupied you to the point that you literally walked off a cliff.
Yeah.
Walked off this cliff. There's the lighthouse. But it said here, his brother, Carlos, said he was on the cliff with their cousin who repeatedly warned him, stay away from the edge while filming a TikTok video. The quote is, my brother has a TikTok account that he loved to upload videos to. Carlos Garay told the outlet, unfortunately, that was what he was trying to do when he was closer to the edge than he should have been. Carlos also said his brother was found in an underwater cave with massive head injuries from the 70-foot.
Oh my goodness.
So, could that have been prevented?
Yeah. No. If he would have just, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to put guardrails on the edge of the cliff? I mean, it's a national resource. I mean,
Hold on. Guardrails on the edge of the cliff. Well, obviously you could, but where does that end? I mean, there's going to be an end to the guardrail, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can't put the guardrail completely around everything.
Sure.
And I'm sure if you really wanted to take that special shot for TikTok, you're going to probably get on the guardrail, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or lean over the guardrail.
Right.
And apparently that's kind of what happened. You know, you're hearing more and more about this type of thing where people are getting hurt, falling off of cliffs.
Right.
Have you ever heard of a cliff falling on people?
No.
You have not.
No.
This came out last year.
Oh, boy. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Look at the size of this column of rock.
Did anyone survive?
Several people did survive. Unfortunately, some of them did not. But when you look at that cliff falling down, how do you prevent that? Where's the guardrail?
It's just like going, in the mountains, and you have avalanches and
Right.
and falling rocks. They have all the signs out there. You got to be careful. You got to be. And then even if you see it, I'm sure that they all saw that. What are you going to do? Imagine
the fear. You're on your boat with your family. It's a beautiful area.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, look at how beautiful these cliffs are. Who would ever think the cliff would fall on you? There you are, and the cliff falls on you.
No. Phew.
One more story I wanted to cover with you. This one's an interesting one, kind of what we covered a moment ago. And I don't know if this is really going to make a difference, but there's a new death-defying stunt on TikTok called death diving. Have you heard about this?
No.
It's an extreme sport. Originated in Norway in the 1970s. It's also called, I don't know what that O with a line. It's not an O because whenever they put a line through it. Dudsing? It's gaining traction on TikTok. Here we go with TikTok again. Tony, I really think it's a conspiracy from China to want to just destroy our country.
Yeah.
That was before the balloon.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Post balloon. But this sport is, you have these people, young people, diving enthusiasts, as they're called, jump off of massive heights, sometimes over 80 feet in the air, in an attempt to perform the greatest death dive. The trend carries a label on TikTok. Quote, the actions in this video are performed by professionals or supervised by professionals. Do not attempt. Now,
yeah, right.
Oh, okay. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at one of these diving professionals. There she is. What do you think she's about? 17?
Yeah.
17 diving professional. Look, professional platform, right? She's got a professional swim attire. And she will basically hit the ground at about 75 miles an hour, usually head first. And look at everybody. Oh my God, is this exciting or what?
Oh my goodness.
Look at this.
Oh my
But you get a lot of views on TikTok telling you to do this. You know what I mean? There's another one. Just kind of land however you want to. Imagine landing on your head. Belly flopping. So if one of these persons dies, what do we say? It's like, yeah, she lands on her head, it hurts. Yeah, she landed on her face, so beautiful. LOL. She could have broke her neck. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So there's the new craze. TikTok's behind all of this. Let's get little young kids, young girls, young boys to jump off of cliffs. It's cool. You'll get 37 million views. Yeah, that's kind of where we are. But the sport has over 370 million views.
My goodness.
On TikTok alone, making it one of the fastest growing extreme sports in the world.
My goodness.
Do you know that? And you might die. They kind of let you know that up front. Nestle has over 252,000 followers. That's the diver you saw. And more than 4 million likes on her videos on TikTok. In one video that has picked up over 42 million views, users are particularly concerned about Nestle. Quote, did she live? Now, when you're doing a video that the people watching it question whether or not you survived.
Yeah.
It tells you probably may not survive.
Yeah, likelihood.
Yeah, next time you decide to do that.
If she just hits it at the right angle, I mean, she could snap her neck. She could, I mean, it's just dangerous.
Okay, I'm going to be devil's advocate. That's your daughter. What do you do when you say, and you find out, hey, she's really very popular on TikTok. She's out there jumping off of cliffs and, hey, Dad, I'm going out this weekend. Hopefully I'll be back.
I would strongly suggest not doing it.
What would you say to your teenage daughter or son?
You're taking your life into your hands.
But Dad, it's cool.
Yeah, it's a big deal. What's going to be cool when you're a paraplegic?
They don't think that far. Yeah. Remember, young people think they're going to live forever. Right?
Take her to the hospital and just go ahead and meet some paraplegics a day in their life.
Yeah. Interesting, the last comment here. Did she live? One user asked. Legit. Got butterflies in my stomach just from watching. So cool. Another said, my neighbor did that and, well, he now drives with a straw.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. The Guardian said that a little interesting statistic about this, Tony. A free-falling 120-pound woman would have a terminal velocity of 122 miles per hour.
My goodness.
That's 38 meters per second. And you could achieve about 95% of that speed in about 7 seconds.
My goodness.
So if you were to watch her fall and you say, how many seconds? Probably wasn't 7. Probably was 3 to 4. She was rocking around 80 miles an hour when she hit the ground or water. Mm-hmm. But, hitting the water is not like, soft.
No.
A lot of people say it's like hitting concrete. Don't know if that's true because I've never landed on concrete at 80 miles an hour.
I'm not going to find out either.
Yeah, it's that equates to a fall about 167 meters or 55 stories high.
My goodness.
Landing on your side might be the best way to survive a fall, says Hughes. Doesn't take much of a fall to cause damage. From a height of 3 meters, you could fracture your spine, he says. At about 10 meters, well, you're looking at very serious injuries. So these are people who are just falling on hard surfaces. So I asked a question, being one who enjoys asking questions. What about water? I mean, it's one thing to say you're falling at 80, miles an hour and you hit water. That's different than if you hit pavement, right? I mean, it's...
Yeah, no, it's
different story.
But it's still a solid.
Yeah, so, you're coming down pretty fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you hit the wrong way, man, and it is not pleasant. But is there a position to survive a free fall ending in the water?
Maybe straight up and down, pencil-like.
Says here, right here, dives of less than 20 meters normally pose no major problem if you performed it in an upright position. Feet together in front. That height, good physical condition also allows classic diving, arms outstretched and head forward. I didn't see that.
No, they were landing on their side.
I didn't see that in any of these divers.
No.
It was jump off, land on your side, or land however.
Belly flop.
They were just flipping it in the air.
Jiminy.
Between 20 and 60 meters, the probability of injury quickly becomes significant, and horizontal penetration into the water should always be avoided to minimize the initial surface of contact. The best position remains vertical, feet together in front, and the risk of breaking the legs is significant.
Oh, my goodness.
But it's better than the neck or the spine in the classic position. So, not a good idea. You really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. And so can cause some serious injuries, spine injuries, really do some harm. Want to cover one more story?
Sure. Let's do it.
You getting tired of this?
No, it's fine. It's good.
February 2nd, Fox News. Sinkhole. Yep, sinkhole.
Just
a New
this
York
week.
woman's front yard swallows her
My goodness.
and 2 people. They were all rescued.
Good.
Suffolk County, Long Island. You're from New York, aren't you?
Yes, from New York, but this is this is Long Island. Do you call that New York?
Is this New York?
No.
Is this a New York crack?
Yeah.
To our audience in New York, I apologize for Tony. Yeah, but in this case, the Suffolk County Police, Long Island Police, said building inspector was called to determine the cause of the sinkhole. Long story short, I want you to see what this thing looks like. So this is a lady's house.
My goodness.
There's a sinkhole, like right in her front yard.
Mike.
This is right off of her Twitter feed. It's like, hey, sinkhole comes up in my front yard. We all fell in it. And you say, how do you fall in it?
I don't know.
How'd you fall in it?
Well, hopefully it wasn't like the UPS guy who was walking around and then slipped in.
I mean, who expects a sinkhole to open up in front of their house? No. But anyhow, we'll show you what actually happened here.
3 people were rescued from a sinkhole that opened up in the front yard of a home. It happened early this morning in Huntington Station. Ring video captured the moment a 70-year-old woman fell into the 6-by-6-foot hole. Suffolk County Police say she and 2 men in their 60s were pulled out by a police officer and a bystander. The woman and 1 man were taken to the hospital for evaluation. The second man was not hurt. The Huntington building inspector is investigating what caused the sinkhole, but the heavy rain could be to blame. And now,
heavy rain can be to blame. Okay. Act of God. What do you call this? Sum it up. What is this? Sinkhole.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not uncommon. It happens all over the world, all over the United States.
I think it's the act of a devil. I think this is satanic. I'd have the house, what do they call that? Where they have the priest come out?
The exorcism.
Yeah, exorcised. They need to exorcise this house. I mean, come on. Seriously? Literally, the gates of hell open up and you and 2 other guys fall in a 60-foot hole? I mean, come on.
Hopefully not me.
Yeah, that's not good. So what is a sinkhole, Tony?
It's just like it says here. It's a depreciate. I mean, it's basically something that the subsurface, either loosens up by water or sand or something that's underneath it that's just not, solid enough, and it just falls apart.
That's very scientific. Thank you. Yeah, sinkholes generally are
a hole.
It's a hole that sank. My understanding is it's like a limestone deposit.
Sure.
And over time, underground water gets in and it wears it down, because a lot of rainwater is mildly acidic. So it kind of slowly eats it away from beneath the ground. And then when the force of the weight of the ground above it exceeds the amount of weight that can support it, it falls in. Have you ever seen a sinkhole?
No, I have not.
Okay, check this one out.
My goodness.
That's a sinkhole. You're just driving along and boom. Look at that.
My goodness.
It just caves in. Literally caves in.
Yeah.
This is the one that is particularly interesting.
Oh my gosh. That's a deep one.
That is like Dante's Inferno. There is no question, man. There is no question. That's an act of demonic behavior. I mean, you explain that one to me, man. I mean, I can't. They actually get better. Check this one out.
Oh my goodness.
Sinkhole under a river. Kind of pretty. Imagine you're kayaking or. Imagine you are. How do you get away from that thing? How in the heck do you get away from that thing? I mean, you're
stroke.
Yeah. I mean that's beyond a sinkhole. I mean, that is death.
Man, if you go down that, it's like you're like in the
vortex.
Yeah, what do they call that out in space?
No,
the black hole.
They had a show. What was the name of the show? Journey to the center of the earth. Remember that? Growing up, they had Journey to the center of the earth. Well, that's how you get to the center of the earth, right there.
It's the time tunnel.
Okay, wait till you see the last one. Check this out.
Oh my goodness, that was a inferno.
That is Dante's Inferno, man.
That's
that's Hades. There is no way you can't react to that in any way other than this is demonic, man. This is,
my goodness.
I mean, is that unbelievable?
Yes.
I mean, you actually have but on the other hand, being from Texas, that could be a nice fire pit. That could be a big barbecue. And in fact, it might be Texas. I don't know. You see a lot of
throw another shrimp on the Barbie.
Yeah, maybe there's something more going on there than we realize. So, but anyhow, that's today's show. Did you have a good time?
Yes, I sure did.
Did you really?
Yes, until next week, right?
Until next week. And anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No.
Have you had enough?
I had enough.
All righty. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. This is Russ Kenzior and my sidekick, Tony B. Thanking you for joining us today. And hopefully we'll see you next time.
And be safe.
Be safe. Always be safe. So y'all take care.
Bye.